In this video, I want to briefly talk about what we call benchmark percents. A benchmark percent is like a percent that you can do mentally in your head. So if you take a look at the chart on your screen, you will see 6 different percentages. So 100% is just our whole amount. 50% is half of that number. 25% could be found by finding 50% of it, or taking 100% your whole and dividing by 4, and I'll do an example of what I mean here in a minute. 10% is taking your original and dividing by 10, or moving the decimal to the left 1 time. 5%, well, you take half of what 10% was. And 1% is you just take your original and move the decimal to the left 2 times, since it's out of 100. So here's an example. If I had the number, let's say 600, and I wanted to find 100%, well, 100% of 600 is the whole thing. Now, if I wanted to find 50%, well, half of 100 is 50, therefore half of 600 is 300. If I wanted to find, say, 25%, I could take half of 50, since 25 is half of 50, so therefore 300 divided by 2, which is 150. Or I could have taken 100 and divided it by 4 to get 25, therefore 600 divided by 4 is 150. So multiple ways to get it. Now, if I wanted, say, 10%, well, I would take 100 and divide it by 10 to get 10. Therefore, 600 divided by 10 is 60. And in the previous screen, it said move the decimal to the left 1 time. 5%, well, 5% is half of 10%. Therefore, half of 60 is 30. And lastly, 1%. To get 100, from 100% to 1%, I would technically be dividing by 100. So therefore here, I would also divide by 100 and get 6. Also on the previous slide, it said to get 1%, move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 1, 2, which again gives me 6. Now we use this in cases like this. If I had the 2 problems here, and I said, what is 150% of 18? Well, to get 150, I would need 100% plus 50%. Well, the number is 18. Therefore, 100% would be 18. 50%, well, that's half of 100. Therefore, half of 18 is 9. And if I were to total it, well, 100 plus 50 gives me 150. So 18 plus 9 gives me 27. So 150% of 18 is 27. Now, if I looked at the next example here, 20% of 40, well, 20% I get using 10% 2 times. And I can add that up. Now, 10% of 40, well, if you look above, 10% is found by moving the decimal to the left 1 time, or just dividing by 10. So if I have 40 and I move it to the left one time, that leaves me with 4. So another 10% would be another 4. Therefore, 20% is equal to 8. So 20% of 40 is 8.